Today, I'm going to be getting an engine hoist because it's going to be easier to just pull the engine and transmission rather than try to work on it in the engine bay. And speaking of the engine bay, this will also give me a chance to clean it, go over it, as well as look at the engine harness, because who knows, while it was sitting, what type of wild creatures may have ravaged it like they did under the dashboard. So, let me let you in on a little secret. I have never pulled the engine and transmission of an SRT4 out by myself. I've had people help me, people have done it for me, and I've been around these cars long enough to know the ins and outs, but actually doing it myself, I've not done so. So you get to come with me on this journey as I make it happen. And let this be kind of a course on what's possible out in a driveway, under a carport, with minimal tools and some hands-on experience. Now, one of the tools that I'm really looking forward to putting to the test while I pull the engine and transmission would be this guy right here. I picked it up at my local Harbor Freight for right under $200. It's 3/8 drive, 20 volt lithium ion impact. This should make short work of a lot of your smaller bolts and hardware. So I'm really looking forward to seeing if this is the upgraded battery. It's a 3 amp hour battery. They have a 1.5 amp hour battery, and I believe it takes 3 hours, or it might even be 6 hours to charge, which is quite a long time. But if I can get an entire if I can pull the entire engine without having to recharge this thing, that would be awesome. And we're going to see. We're going to take a look. It's small, it's relatively light, and if it speeds up the process, I'll let you guys know. Well, there we are. The engine is out, and it was a little bit of an adventure. I had a few little things that kind of tripped me up. Being out in my driveway, obviously being gravel, rolling the engine hoist back and forth wasn't something that was going to happen without a little bit of plywood. But a couple of sheets of 1/2-inch plywood and everything went fine. The engine hoist that I used was a 1-ton unit from Harbor Freight. The one thing that I will have to say is because I was able to use it under the 1/2-ton setting, but it was just a little bit too short for where I was using it at. I definitely could have taken some of the slack up with the straps and the chain and probably got it right where I needed it. The other thing that I ran into was I should have pushed the car out of the carport so that the boom would not interfere with the carport. As I reached the zenith or the highest point of the boom, I was actually right underneath one of the supports, but when I went to go pull the engine hoist back, it did contact the support. So I actually had to lower the car down just about 4 inches, and I actually kind of teetered the engine on the radiator support for a moment, lowered the engine hoist about 2 inches to drop below where the support of the carport was, and then pull the engine hoist back all at the same time. It was a little bit of a wrangle. Looking back at it, when I go to put the engine in, I will adjust for that, and it really should go back relatively easy. I use 2 straps that, instead of hooking with chains on the accessory points and the little hook that's on the front of the engine, I actually used 2 straps. It was something. I will say that. Not an easy job, but overall not a difficult job. It took me 1 day to pull the engine harness, all of the intake manifold, and the air compressor, the power steering pump, and everything out of the way. It could be done in a day. It definitely could be done in a day. But for the first time, a day and a half, I really can't complain. Pulling the engine out really did not take that much time. I got a little bit of a late start, so overall, not bad. One thing that definitely helped was this guy right here. This guy right here, the battery powered 20 volt Bauer 3/8 drive, that guy, I gotta say, it probably cut a couple hours off of the removal. Does it have a ton of torque? No. But for most bolts, it did the job. Battery life, what I would do is if I ran into anything or needed to take a break for a bit, I would just throw it back on the charger, and really I never ran it out of battery for a job like this. So for the price, I gotta say, right now, I'm in love with this guy. Also a Harbor Freight special. But hey, for the money, like I said earlier in the video, I'm not dissatisfied with the price. So there it is. The engine is out. I did it. A little bit proud of myself. I know a million of you guys have done it many times. But this was my first time doing it all by myself. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. We'll see about putting it back in. It's going to be a little bit. We've got a couple different things coming in order for me to install. We're going to clean up the engine bay, going to work on the wiring harness. The cams will be installed on the engine, as well as new timing components, and the turbo bay big wheel swap turbo. So I'm looking forward to it. That's been this episode of XI Tuning. I will catch you on the next one, where we'll be doing something else. I'm not sure what the next step is, but it'll be a good video. At least I hope so. We'll get some work done. All right. So I will catch you next time.